Imagine drifting alone across the Pacific Ocean. No land, no engine, no radio. Just a tiny fishing boat and endless blue water in every direction. For 438 days, one man fought hunger, storms, sharks, and his own mind. This is the unbelievable but true story of Salvador Alvarenga, the longest documented survival at sea in human history. Before the world knew his name, Salvador Alvarenga was just a simple fisherman living on the coast of Mexico. A man who loved the ocean, but never imagined one day it would become his prison. He worked for years catching sharks and fish for local markets, sometimes legally, sometimes not. He was tough, experienced, and feared nothing the sea could throw at him. But on November 17, 2012, Salvador made a decision he would pay for with 14 months of his life. He went fishing despite a storm warning. He brought along a young assistant, 23-year-old Ezequiel Cordoba, a man who had almost no experience at sea. It started like every other trip, lines, nets, calm water. But just a few hours later, everything changed. Winds rose. Waves grew taller. The sky turned black. The boat was too small to fight the storm, just 7 meters long. The engine choked. The GPS died. The radio stopped working. Soon they were completely blind, drifting further and further from land. The storm lasted 5 brutal days. Huge waves slammed into the boat, filling it with water. Everything inside was destroyed: food, tools, equipment. They were forced to throw their entire catch overboard just to stay afloat. When the storm finally ended, they were hundreds of kilometers away from shore, and that's when the real nightmare began. Without a motor, without sails, without paddles, they began drifting deeper into the Pacific. At first, they didn't panic. Fishing was Salvador's life. He knew how to catch food: turtles, fish, even birds that landed on the boat. They ate everything raw. For water, they collected rain in tiny buckets and old bottles. Sometimes they survived 2 or 3 days with nothing to drink. But the hardest enemy wasn't hunger or thirst. It was the sun. Every day for hours they baked under brutal heat with no shade. Their skin cracked. Their lips split open. Their bodies weakened. The Pacific Ocean became a slow, silent torture chamber. By the 2nd month, Ezequiel began to lose hope. He stopped eating. He refused fish and turtles. He grew weaker and quieter every day. He told Salvador, "I'm going to die out here." And one morning, he did. Salvador woke up to find his young companion lifeless. This was one of the hardest decisions of his life. Salvador kept Ezequiel's body on the boat for 6 days, talking to him so he wouldn't go insane. But eventually, he had to let his friend go into the ocean. From that moment on, Salvador was alone, truly alone, with nothing but waves and silence stretching to the horizon. Here you detail his survival techniques. 1. Capturing birds. Whenever a bird landed on the boat, he grabbed it with his bare hands. Feathers everywhere, screaming, but that was food. 2. Drinking turtle blood. When rain didn't fall, he did the unthinkable. 3. Fighting sharks. He threw them out with his hands when they attacked his boat. Sometimes he caught baby sharks and ate them raw. 4. Constant hallucinations. He saw beaches, cities, ships, none of them real. He talked to the ocean. He talked to Ezekiel. He talked to God. 5. Mental battles. The hardest part was not going mad. Days blended into weeks, weeks into months. He tried to track time, but eventually lost count. At one point he even considered ending it all. But something kept him going. I have a daughter. I need to see her again. After more than 14 months, Salvador saw something he believed was another hallucination. Green, trees, land, but it wasn't a dream. On January 30th, 2014, his boat washed ashore on a small island in the Marshall Islands, more than 10,000 kilometers from where he had started. He was found barefoot, exhausted, and barely able to stand. The world couldn't believe what they were seeing. Doctors confirmed it. Salvador had survived 438 days at sea, the longest documented survival in modern history. But his return wasn't easy. Many people didn't believe him. Some accused him of cannibalism. Others said his story was fake. But every detail, currents, weather, his physical condition supported his journey. Salvador later said, "The ocean tried to kill me, but it also kept me alive." He reunited with his daughter, the person he fought for all those months. 438 days, 14 months, over 10,000 kilometers. A simple fisherman endured what almost no human could survive. Whether you see him as a hero, a miracle, or a man who refused to die, his story reminds us of something powerful. As long as hope lives, a person can survive almost anything. If you want more real, unbelievable stories like this, subscribe and join me for the next journey.